Welcome to the weekly Bodkins Sports Wrap Up.
Welcome back to the weekly Bodkins. I had to check. I just got an update. But welcome back to the weekly Bodkins Sports Wrap Up show. I'll get back to that update that I just saw coming across in our weekly. Not much to talk about this week. I mean, mild week in sports, I would say. Let's talk about first the NFL. That's where we always start off with. In the NFL, just a couple quick things to talk about real fast. Looks like Sony Michel is headed to the Dolphins. Mike Davis is headed to the Ravens. Sony Michel, former Patriot, first-round pick, now headed to the Dolphins. Mike Davis, formerly of the Falcons, and is now headed to the Ravens to kind of help booster that backfield. There's a couple of those guys that are coming back. If you remember J.K. Dobbins and their other backup running back, can't think of this name off the top of my head, what his name was, but both coming back was it just Gus Williams, Gus Edwards, that's it, Gus Edwards, coming back both off of ACL, so maybe Mike Davis will have to spell those guys early on. Other bigger news, though, Tom Brady today signed a 10-year, $375 million to broadcast games with Fox, or to work with Fox, after his playing career is over. Tom Brady currently makes, as a whole of his NFL career, made $375 million, and now is making $375 million for the next 10 years working for Fox. So maybe Brady's probably going to retire at the end of this year and says, "Hey boys, I got a TV gig waiting." We'll see. I think Tom Brady obviously hates his kids. Because, I mean, you haven't been home in 20 years, Tom. And then you were home for 2 months, decided, I got to get the fuck out of here. Comes back out of retirement. And then it's like, I got to have a backup plan. Wife and kids are fucking crazy. They piss me off. So I'm going to sign this Fox deal for fucking $375 million for the next 10 years. Sorry, Giselle. Daddy's still not going to be home. In the NBA, this is where the update, I was just checking when it came in. Let's talk about the NBA. Ja Morant just broke right now. Ja Morant likely done for the playoffs. I only think that series has got one more game in it, as the Warriors are up 3-1. They won last night, taking the game 4. It's 3-1. Warriors are going to win in game 5. I told you guys it was a gentleman's sweep. And that's exactly what it is. It's going to be gentleman's sweep there. In the other series, in the other Western Conference series, it's 2-2. Game 5 is tonight. Suns and Mavs. Both teams have won. Road team is yet to win. I like the Suns in this one. Like the Suns in Game 6. I said it. I said Suns in 6. I'm sticking with it. The other guys for Luka has performed a lot better at home, as most people would suspect. But now going back on the road, can they continue to do? Can they continue to do it? I don't think so. I still like the Suns in 6. Like I said, it's 2-2, so I'm right on the money here. In the other series, in the Eastern Conference, another game tonight. Here in about 1 hour or so, 6:30 Central Time. It looks like it's Heat 76ers. That series as well is tied 2-2. That series has been flipped upside down since Joel had come back. I mean, remember the Heat were up 2 games and the 76ers looked lost. Joel comes back in Philly. They win games 3 and 4. Not even really all that close. Not real close, super close games in either one of those. I still like the Heat in 7. I think I picked the Heat in like 5 actually, but I didn't know Joel was going to be back, but now he's back. I like the Heat in Game 7. I'm still sticking with the Heat. Just the games because due to Joel Embiid, but I think the Heat figure it out. They get it done. We'll find out by next week. By the time we talk to you next week. And then in the Eastern Conference, I think the best series so far is the Celtics and Bucks. I've watched a lot of that. That series is tied 2-2. Almost every game has been real close. The Celtics are just about a bucket away, a bad call away from being, possibly up 3-1. I said the Celtics in 7. I mean, nobody can guard Giannis, but Jason Tatum is got to start playing better. Shot it a little bit better last night. At times, he hasn't played like he's the best player on the Celtics or even the second best player on the floor, which outside of Giannis, Tatum is. And I just like the Celtics, again, the whole better than some of the parts of Milwaukee. So that series is tied 2-2. They play tomorrow. I believe as well. Let me look at game. Let me look here. When is game 5 of? That's game 6. Game 5 of the Warriors is tomorrow as well. I just wanted to make sure to tell y'all that game, it starts at 8:30 tomorrow. Warriors are headed to the Western Conference Finals. I like that one tomorrow. They wrap it up, and then that Bucks Celtics is game 5 tomorrow as well. So it looks like the NBA finally got their shit together, not giving teams like 8 days off between games. Looks like every other day. So look for those series to wrap up by the time we talk next weekend. Hopefully it might be a game 7 in there. So we'll see. That's pretty much wraps it up in the NBA. And then let's talk no news in baseball, which, I mean, there wasn't nothing in this past week where I felt like I had to fucking tell you anything. If you're watching baseball, you're probably much following your own specific team, but no major headlines in baseball this past week. Next week, I will give back the Bodkins, the BPI, Bodkins Baseball Power Index, power rankings, the BPI, Bodkins Power Rankings, BPR, I guess. How about the BPR? The Bodkins Power Rankings will come out next week again for baseball. Other than that, let's let's wrap up our UFC 274 coverage. The card wasn't as great as it was capped out to be. Remember, I had Joe Luzon and Cowboy Cerrone, 2 veterans. Cowboy gets food poisoning, has to pull out the fight. That fight has now been rebooked next month in June, it looks like. So at least we're still getting that fight. 2 veterans. Probably Cowboy has said, hey, I got 2 fights left. He wants to get to 50 fights. So he's at 48 now, so he wants to fight Joe Luzon. Joe has kind of said this is probably his last fight. Was even unaware whether or not he was going to fight again after the fight had got canceled, but has told Cowboy, hey, let's ride one more time. So the Cowboys got 2 fights. Joe Luzon probably going to be done after the Cowboy fight, and we'll see. So that fight actually got pulled from the card. Then the next fight, we talked about who? It wasn't the title fight. Oh, the Tony Ferguson fight and Michael Chandler fight. Holy shit. If you haven't looked that fight up, look up the Chandler knockout. I mean, he might have sent Tony Ferguson. I mean, he killed him. I mean, it's straight punt to the face. Tony went stiff as a board, landed on his neck. I thought he was dead. I mean, Tony... stop. Can we stop? I love Tony Ferguson. He's meant a lot to the UFC over the years, but we got to stop feeding Tony these animals. Like, Tony needs to fight a guy barely in the top 15, I think, for his next fight. After the fight, Michael Chandler called out Charles Oliveira. He called out Conor McGregor, called out Justin Gaethje again. Now, he's lost to Gaethje and Oliveira in both those fights, but called out Conor McGregor, said he'd fight Conor at 270. Him and Nate Diaz have been going back and forth on Twitter as well. They could be fighting at 270. I don't like the fight for the Diaz fight at 270 for Chandler. I actually like the Conor fight. I think he has a better shot at beating Conor than he does Diaz. Chandler struggles with these long, lanky guys. Tony looked good in that first round against Chandler, but didn't look so good, obviously, in the knockout. I mean, he just got measured up and got his face punted off of him. Nasty scene, but hell of a fucking knockout for Mike Chandler. Oh, the fight before that. So let's see what Chandler does. Anyway, back to what I was saying, I don't like the fight for him for Diaz, because Diaz is long and lanky, and he seems to cover has trouble with those type of guys. I actually like the Conor fight. I don't really know else who he'd fight at 155. I do think him and Dustin Poirier would be the best fight to make as far as maybe like number one contender fight. I mean, that gives Chandler now 2 wins in a row, against 2 top, 5 guys. If he was able to beat Dustin Poirier, maybe he needs 1 more to get there. Maybe like a Beneil Dariush or somebody like that would even be good for Chandler to get back in the title. But I mean, it looks like he's trying to make some big money fights. He wants the big fights, it sounds like, and he's calling out Conor and Nate Diaz. The Shogun Rua fight was pretty boring. Shogun lost. I think he also said he wants to do 1 more fight and then he's going to retire. Hey, OSP beat him in pretty much a snoozer. Speaking of fucking snoozers, holy shit. If you want to fucking nap, go put on Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas. Where was the real Rose Namajunas? Where was the real Thug Rose? Because she did not show up. She usually is aggressive, brings the fight, is an exciting fighter. But, I mean, damn, that fight was fucking boring. You would fall asleep. I almost did fall asleep. It was so bad. Both girls, it was weird. Rose, after the fight, said she thought she won. Well, Rose, you actually got to fucking do something to win. I mean, they went 5 rounds, and I think they hit each other 3 times. It was so fucking boring. And Rose is out here saying, well, I did more. I'm getting beat because it was a defensive fight. No, Rose, you actually have to fucking do something. You actually need to listen to your coach instead of your fucking husband. Stop listening to your husband, and he was telling you not to do shit while Trevor Whitman's over there saying, hey, bitch, fucking be aggressive. And I mean, bitch is not as a derogatory term either. Like, I'm just saying, hey, like, you got to fucking do something. And that's what the fucking coach was saying. Trevor Whitman was fucking out there saying, hey, motherfucker, like, you got to show me something. We got to do something because who knows what these judges are going to decide. And Carla didn't engage at all. She's a wrestler anyway. But I'm not saying wrestling fighters are boring, but Carla's not a great, stand-up person or even fighter. And she tried to take down Rose, and Rose defended it well. And Rose should have known then that she should have been engaged. But it was a snooze fest. The refs, they should have just fucking said, hey, we don't know who the fuck won this fight. But the judges gave it to Esparza. Esparza wins. I'm not clamoring for anybody for Rose to get a rematch with Carla Esparza. Rose just needs to fight somebody else. It does look like next month, Young Wei Lee versus Joanna Jacek is the number 1 title fight. I like both of those fighters over Carlos Esparza. And maybe Rose gets a rematch we'll face one of them two. I could see that if she wins one and then fights them two. But holy shit, that was a fucking snooze fest. Maybe Rose fights Jessica Andrade. That would be a hell of a fight, a rematch fight. And then they would get the winner of, of Whaley and Esparza or not Nunez. They would get the winner. Maybe she fights Andrade. If she wins, she could get the winner of whoever the title fight. Or the loser could face Rose of next month of Wei Lee. Even though if it's Wei Lee, I don't think we need to see Wei Lee Rose 3. We've already saw that twice in Rose 1, so like that kind of cancels out. But if Wei Lee wins, then you could see maybe Joanna Jacek fight Rose for that fight to a chance to the title. Who knows? But anyway, that was that boring-ass fight. And then in the main event, we had Charles Oliveira, the lightweight champ. Now, here's where everything gets a little fucked up. UFC, whatever, for whatever reason, the guy who was fucking weighing in, Charles, was a stickler. Charles missed the weight by half a fucking pound. I mean, go take a shit, Charles. Like, come on. It was 150. He weighed at 155, so 0.5, so technically he was stripped from the title, but and then the only person who could win the title Saturday night was Justin Gaethje because he weighed in at 155. Now, anybody will tell you who's been watching the UFC will tell you a lot of times those guys who are fucking doing that 155 on the fucking scale, if it says 155.5, they're like 155. They don't let that shit set. I mean, look, there's all types of shit out there, but Anyway, never happened in the UFC history where the champ has missed weight. So, but missed weight, and then he beats Gaethje, gets Gaethje to tap out. I got that one wrong. I had a lot of picks wrong on this one. I picked Chandler to win. I had that one. Shogun I had lost. Rose I lost. So I didn't do good on the picks this weekend, but I did have Chandler, and I picked with my heart in the title fight, thinking Gaethje would win. I even felt more comfortable about Gaethje after realizing that Charles had missed weight by that half a pound and couldn't fucking shit it out. So, but the man persevered. He got rocked again. Charles is an exciting fighter. He gets rocked every fucking fight and then bounces back and then chokes the motherfuckers out. I mean, there's a reason he is the all-time UFC submissionist, like most submission people, has tapped out more people than anybody in UFC history. The guy finishes fights. So give it up for Charles Oliveira. Now what does the UFC do, right? Now they have this vacant title. Now Charles, because he missed weight, can only fight for the title again as the number one contender. So who do you match up with? It looks like a lot of clamor for Islam. Charles said he would fight pretty much anybody. Let them fucking figure it out. He said he called out Conor McGregor. I don't think Conor wants to fight. That's an easy fight for Charles. I mean, I think so. Conor's not a great stand-up guy. We already know that. I like Charles to beat Conor, but Conor said he kind of poo-pooed that, said he wants to fight at 170. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be Islam versus Charles, maybe in October, and what they're talking Abu Dhabi. Don't be surprised if that doesn't happen. So that kind of wrapped up UFC 274. This week in UFC, we got Jan Blachowicz versus Rakic is the main event. The fight that was supposed to happen in March, but Jan Blachowicz got hurt. Remember, Jan is the former light heavyweight champion of the world. I like Jan to beat Rakic, and then he probably with that one win will probably get a title shot of the winner of Glover versus Yuri next month, which I got Yuri winning by a landslide. So it'd be Yuri and Jan by my calculations if everything goes to plan. But hey, anything can fucking happen, right? So that pretty much fucking wraps it up for this week. Couple things, a couple house cleaning things. I've been on a few podcasts. Let's Talk Sports. Make sure you check them out on Twitter and Facebook as well. I was on there doing a nice little group collaboration. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, a collaboration. And then last night I was on Sports Buffoons. Make sure you check it out there. Twitter and their YouTube page as well. A lot of fun talking basketball and football and things like that with a bunch of different guys. So make sure you guys check out their pages as well. It's been fun. We'll holler at you next week. This is Bodkins out.